Welcome back. I think I finally found a name for this YouTube thing. It's something I haven't really put a name to any of my videos before because I don't just have a singular hobby. I like many different creative things, and so trying to find something that says that it's been a challenge. But I was talking with some friends the other day, and right now where we live in Canada, in Ontario, it's extremely cold. The last 2 days it's been like minus 24. And our house is very old. I think our house is like 115 or 16 years old. Like, it's old. And so it's very drafty. And so a friend was like, you should call your podcast Crafty and Drafty, or Drafty and Crafty. So I think I'm gonna go with some sort of rendition of that, which is pretty exciting. But it's been a minute since I've done a video, so welcome back. I'm Lindsay. I am a yarn dyer based out of Ontario, Canada. Yeah, but this space is more for me to share my creativity and my creative outlets, and just kind of talk about all of the creative things that I have going on. And that could be any number of things. I've seen a really big personal shift in the last couple of months. There's just been so much happening behind the scenes here with family life, and you know, I don't know if it was like the end of year burnout. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one that is experiencing tiredness. The last 2 years have just been very, very exhausting. And through that, trying to balance kids, and it was, you know, winter break, and then we found out that our son was not going to be going back to school. He's going back next week. So it's just been a lot to manage, a lot of emotions to manage. And yeah, so I'm a bit behind on doing videos. I actually have recorded a video, the same video, 4 times now, but I've just decided to pitch it. It didn't really feel super genuine. It just kind of felt like a show and tell, and I don't know if I really want it to be so much of a show and tell, but I'm excited. I'm getting a thing, sorry, 1 second. So yes, today I have a few things. I think it's gonna be more of where I'm at with my creativity, and just how I'm feeling about specific things. I do have a couple of creative goals for this year, and then I really want to talk about books and book club, and I think just like all things books, and how I've kind of added a new creative, I don't know if it's a hobby. I won't say it's a hobby. I guess there's a new creative outlet that blends into reading and books. So I think what I'm gonna start with is, I have like one FO to share, which kind of segues into how I'm feeling creatively, as well as what I'm kind of making my creative knitting goals for the year. My knitting mojo is gone. I don't know where it is. It went somewhere and didn't tell me where it was going or when it would be back. It's just gone. So for me, the only FO that I really have to share with you is a pair of socks. And it's kind of a cheat because I started these socks last spring. I finished the first one immediately. I casted on the second one, and I got the heel flap done, and then it just sat for months. And then I needed the needles to knit another pair of socks, but I can't show you those because I've worn them and they're dirty and I need to wash them. But yeah, where was I going? Socks are pretty much the only thing that I have wanted to work on for the last 2 months. And for me, that is okay. I'm kind of, I don't know, like I have sweaters that I want to knit and I have a stash that I absolutely love. I went through it again and I organized and I destashed things that I loved, but I just knew that I loved it because I loved the color, but I know that I wouldn't wear it or, you know, all that stuff. But I just don't have any desire to knit sweaters. I mean, I see a pattern and I know that there's patterns that I want to knit. I just am not motivated. I don't know what it is. So I finished these socks. The pattern is my pattern. It was my debut pattern. It's called the Bunchberry Socks. It's got this really, really cute, delicate detailing on the top and the leg of the sock. I used a club color from my Cozy Places yarn club from last year. I sound so sure of myself. And then I opted to add mohair to the cuff, the heel, and the toe of the socks. Hi, Tom. Oh, great. Hi, babe. Another life update is we got a puppy. Let me see if I can get him in here without knocking my camera over. Tom, come here. Come around. Or go this way. Come here. Come here. Come on. This is not working. Okay, I'll show him after. Anyways, good boy. So yeah, I finished these. I haven't worn them because I wanted to show them off, and I wore the other pair that I finished, and then now I can't show those off. So now that I've shown these, I can wear them. They're super cozy, and that kind of segues into my knitting goals for this year so far, and that is socks. They're easy, they take up very minimal space. Like, this is a sock project bag. This one is specifically by Morgan from the shop Knitting Nelly. So I feel like leaving this in the living room or leaving this on the bedside table doesn't take up a lot of space. It's like non-intrusive. So I casted on another pair of socks, and another part of me destashing and cleaning was that I went through all of my whips, works in progress, very ruthlessly, and I got rid of a bunch of things. I was very ruthless. And so you'll probably recognize these colors from my Straya. Straya. Don't be mad. I pitched it. I knew I wasn't gonna finish. I loved it. It was a really great knit to work on, but I hadn't touched it since the last time I showed you. And I feel like that was probably back in November. So I casted on a pair of socks. The lighting is getting horrible again. And I'm really happy with it. I'm just kind of making it up as I go. I opted to add in this little colorwork switcheroo here. They're definitely meant to be more color block and scrappy, and I think I'm ready for the toe, just about. Okay, so I've closed the blind. I hope the lighting is still okay in here. So this is Tuku wool. It is from Finland, and it's great. There's actually not a lot of information on these labels. They're 50-gram skeins. They're 195 meters. It's 100% Finnish wool. Unfortunately, there's no like actual color names. Like, this is literally the label. So there's not a lot. But I really like how it's knitting up for socks. And I mean, there's a lot of wool left. Like I knew that if I didn't scrap my straw right away, but I think I'd rather save this wool and use it for a few different things. So this is the first sock. Might finish the toe today and then start the second sock eventually. So that is my plan for this year, is to just really work on knitting socks. I've also started up a new yarn club that's inspired by Wes Anderson movies. He's one of my favorite directors. And so I think where stock allows me to, I'll knit up one of the sock sets into a pair of socks here and there. But I did get a couple, actually it was a Christmas gift from my friend Bailey. Let me show you the sock sets that I got, because I purposefully kept them out because it's my goal to knit these into socks this year. So it's kind of like motivation. So Bailey was nice enough to gift me a 3-month subscription to 6 and 7 Fibres sock set club, and Rachel is a dyer down in the States. She also does non-superwash yarn. So this is her Amaranth base. It is a fingering weight and it's 100% non-superwash merino. So I'll go in the order, yeah, right? Yes. So I got October, November, and December. October's is called Breakfast in Bed, and this is my second favorite one. It is so beautiful. Yellows and pinks, very much my vibe. This might be my spring pair. Just so beautiful. Then it goes into November, and this one's called All Too Well. And I feel like I'm gonna get murdered for this, but I think that's a Taylor Swift song. I'm not very up to date on Taylor Swift. Apologies, but this one is so stunning. I wish that you could see the depth of color in this main color scheme. Oh, it's so pretty. And then this is kind of like a muted dusty green. It's so beautiful. So this is the other one. And then December, I think, is my favorite. And this one is called Balsam. And I think this is gonna be the first pair that I cast on. Bailey had a good suggestion, and she said I should knit them in the order that I received them, which would be good motivation to get to this one, but this one's my favorite. It's just so beautiful. So those are the sock sets that I've received. These are 3 of the sock sets that I would like to knit up this year. And then I added in this other one from Rachel that I got separate, and this one is from her Color Theory Club, and this is from August of 2021. I previously showed this before, but this is also at the top of my to knit list for this year into socks. It's just so beautiful. So freaking beautiful. So basically my 2022 goal is to just knit 6 and 7 Fibre Company socks, which is okay with me. They're so beautiful. So yeah, that's where I'm at with my knitting. There's not a lot going on, and I'm okay with that. It's just a part of the creative process. Sometimes you just have to trust your gut and go with it. I haven't been painting, I haven't been drawing, and yeah, I've just been in this like creative funk. I've been sewing, but even that didn't go according to plan. I got this sale fabric from my local fabric shop, and it's a fabric that I've used before in terms of the print. It was just a different kind of fabric. It was a knit, And I was like, oh, I'm gonna make like a cute ruffle top and it's gonna be so sweet, and it just was not flattering at all, and I should have just done a very basic top, like a box top, and so I'm kind of kicking myself for that because it did not work out. Can you hear that dog? So yeah, that's more or less where I'm at, but I'm really excited because this year the book club is back. Knittery Society is back, and I'm so excited for it. And I'm actually kind of surprised at how much I'm falling in love with reading again. Like, I started Knittery Society in 2020. No, because I took 2021 off. I started in 2019. Wow. And it was kind of one of those things where I think it was just, I was with Nick, we were watching TV, and I was thinking about when we first got together and we first got married. Like, I had books. Like, I remember one of my birthdays, I just asked for books for my birthday, and that was it. And then fast forward, we had kids, and it was like 5 years later, and 4 years later, and I was like, I can't remember the last time I read a book. I legit could not remember. I couldn't even remember what the last book I read was. And I thought that was kind of sad. So I kind of tossed it out on Instagram and said, like, would anybody want to do a book club where we hold each other accountable? And it's kind of like when you watch a TV show and you just need to talk to somebody about what that show makes you feel. Gossip, like, you know, all that gossip that comes from watching a show, and like, oh my gosh, can you believe so and so did this, and blah blah blah. So the feedback that I got was that people were in the same boat and they loved that idea. So fast forward, and here we are. I took last year off because it was starting to get to the point where I felt like it was becoming more of a chore to keep up with social media and the book club. Sorry, you should drink water. It was starting to feel more like a chore and less of I want to do this because I'm really passionate about it. And I was trying to take into account everything that was happening in the world, and making sure that the book club was as inclusive as possible. So for 2021, instead of doing a book club in the sense that we pick a book and read that book every month, I did a reading challenge. And so I encouraged everybody that wanted to participate and wanted to share. It was not like you had to sign up and you were penalized if you didn't do your challenge. But it was essentially, how many books do you want to read for the year? And let's just do little check-ins here and there and see how we're doing with it. And hopefully having a goal to work towards helps you fall in love with reading again, or who knows. Anyways, it went really, really good. I didn't set a super big goal. I set 2 books a month because 2020, we all know what 2020 was like. So reading didn't become a big thing for me in 2020. I started the year pretty strong, and then it just kind of like, so for me, I set my goal at 2 books a month for last year, and I beat it. I actually ended up going over, so I read 25 books. This year I set my goal to 36 books, I think. Let me just confirm. 36 books. I've read 4 books. I'm reading the book club book, and I'm on my 5th book, which is an audiobook. So yeah, books have become a big thing for me. I'm taking books out from the library, and when I say I'm taking out books, I mostly take out audiobooks. So I'm taking out audiobooks. I'm currently, my audiobook at the moment, which I took out from the library, is called For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. I think I'm 50% through the book. I just started it yesterday. And I like it so far. It's the first book in what I think is a series. Yeah, it's a series. The second book is coming out this year. The first book came out last June, so June of 2021. And from what I understand, it's kind of a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, kind of, like maybe loosely. I'm getting Little Red Riding Hood vibes. But essentially it is, the first daughter is for the throne, the second daughter is for the wolf. So this story is following the first daughter and the second daughter. And the second daughter basically is like a sacrifice to the wolf. It is a dark fantasy. It's about a young woman, the second daughter, who must be sacrificed to the legendary wolf of the wood to save her kingdom. But not all legends are true, and the wolf isn't the only danger lurking in the wilder wood. And that's all I will say about the book. It's very interesting so far. I'm finding that I really do need to listen carefully because it is following Red's story. Her name, I think her full name is Rodaria. I'm gonna confirm that because I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, they call her nickname in the story is Red. So you get it, Red Wolf. And then it also kind of follows her sister's story, and her sister, who is to take over the throne, is trying to save Red. So it's kind of going back and forth between their two storylines. And it's good. I'm enjoying it so far. It doesn't have the greatest rating. It's not horrible. It's just shy of 4 stars on Goodreads. And I think I also use Storygraph. And on Storygraph, the reviews for it are just shy of 4 stars. So it's really good. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite book that I've read so far, but I am really, really enjoying it. I mean, I'm 50% through in a day. So the other book that I'm reading right now, which is for book club, is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. And this is really good. I need to catch up on this actually, which I'm planning to do this evening because Nick will be watching football. So I'm going to cozy myself up in here with some tea and read. But this follows the story of a caseworker in the department in charge of magical youth. And he is sent to a orphanage on a distant island, and he is sent there to determine whether 6 dangerous magical children are so dangerous. And you kind of follow the plot line of these kids. There has been some controversial things brought up about this book since we started book club, which I'm doing my research on and I'm looking into. The author has come out saying where he loosely found inspiration for this story, and I'm trying to see it from both perspectives. So if you want to follow along with this book, I do have a Ravelry group with a chat thread. Anyways, where we're gonna talk about the book, talk about some of the things in this book, and one of the things that I think I would like to address is what was brought up about where this story kind of loosely comes from. I think it's really important for Canadian history, but just our history in general. So that is the other book that I'm reading right now. And then I thought I would show off February's book. I'm very excited about this, and I'm actually slightly confused because I bought this in December or maybe November. I can't remember when I bought it. But when you go online, it says that it's not out until later this year. So I don't know if that is going to become an issue for people finding it, but February's book is going to be She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. And I'm so excited to read this. There is a lot of hype surrounding this right now, but I think that it is going to be a fantastic story. But She Who Became the Sun reimagines the rise to power of the Ming Dynasty's founding emperor. So it follows two storylines from what I understand, a brother and a sister. Somebody had the perfect description for this. So it's basically Mulan meets the Song of Achilles. I love Greek mythology. Mulan is such an amazing story. So I'm really excited to see where Shelley Parker Chan takes this plotline. And I mean, it just sounds amazing. So this is going to be February's book. I really hope that if you decide to participate in February that you're able to find a copy of this. This I got from Indigo, and it was listed as a trade paperback. It looks brand new, and I just got a second copy for somebody, and that copy looked brand new. So I don't know what's going on with the dates, but I hope that you're able to find a copy of this book. And then I have a huge stack of books that I just want to talk about, things that I'm really excited to read, and I don't know. Oh, I'll talk about things that I have read. So far, I said I'd read 4 books. So the first book that I read this year was To Kill a Kingdom, and I loved it. It was so good. So the catchline for the book is a princess must have her prince. And this follows, I'm gonna say Lyra, L-I-R-A, and she is Siren royalty. And I thought that it was so fascinating to follow a story that is based off of sirens, because I feel like it's always mermaids. And it's really interesting because in everything that we've ever been told about mermaids, they're these beautiful creatures that live in the sea. And in this story, they are hideous and they're ugly and they are unkind and nasty. That's not to say that the sirens are that much better, but it was really interesting reading it from that perspective. And this is 100% an enemies to lovers plotline. Who doesn't love that? And so the story follows Lyra, and she's a siren, she's a princess, and her mother is just this evil queen, and so she punishes her. And one of the things that the only way to tell how old a siren is to, they steal the hearts of their victims, and they can only do it on their birthday. So Lyra has X amount of hearts, and that's how old she is. So she steals a heart not on her birthday, and the queen decides to punish her, and she turns her into a human. The lover that comes into play, who's her enemy at first, is a prince. Prince Elian, I'm gonna say that. And he is a siren slayer. So his main goal in life is to kill the Prince's Bane, and that is Lyra, but he doesn't know at the time. So anyways, the story goes from there. I loved it. I read this in like 4 days, I think. I mean, on and off. I have 2 young kids, but I loved this. So if you like enemies to lovers tropes and you like fantasy books, something that's fast paced and has adventure, I would give this a go. I really, really, really loved this a lot. And then I just finished this week Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read a lot of Sarah J. Maas and Armentrout, and I don't know. Okay, so I read Throne of Glass, and I really loved the Throne of Glass series. I thought seven books is probably the longest series I've personally read. And it was fantastic. Like, it was great. I also really love A Court of Thorns and Roses, obviously. I think I like that series better than Throne of Glass. Book 6 for me in Throne of Glass was probably like my least favorite book. But I read this. I need book 2 now. I love Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read her other book, a few of her other series, and it's just fantastic. I really, really like her. Sorry. Anyways, I really, really loved this. So this is a brand new series. This book came out, I think, November of last year, so it's really, really new. But this is so the series is called Flesh and Fire, and it takes place in the Blood and Ash world. So there's a lot of similarities to the Blood and Ash series. But this is following the story of Seraphina, and she goes by Sarah, and she is basically, when she is born, her future is already decided for her, and not in just in a you're betrothed kind of way. She's chosen before birth to uphold the desperate deal her ancestors struck to save his people. Sarah must leave behind her life and offer herself to the primal of death as his consort. It's so good. I just want more. And I mean, it's not the shortest book. It was so good. I think I read this in 3 days. I loved it. Book 2 is supposed to be coming out this year. It needs to come out yesterday. So I'm really excited to follow this and kind of see where it goes. Yeah, well done. It was just fantastic. So that is the other book that I've read. Everything else that I think is in this stack of books are things that I hope to read this year, or just new books. I haven't been buying yarn, I've just been buying books. So one of the series that I really want to read this year, it's at the top of my list, is The Witcher. So I have Blood of Elves. I only have the first book. I'm starting with just the first book. There's a lot of books. But I watched the show and I loved it. I actually am trying to convince Nick to watch the show with me because he's played the video games and I think he would love the show. I keep asking if he would ever want to do like an audiobook together, but he doesn't really read like I do. I'll say that. So I picked up this. I'm very, very excited. I actually have 2 copies because when I ordered this, they didn't include it in the initial shipment, even though there was a slip saying that it was supposed to be included. And then I contacted Indigo to say that everything else was in the box, but this one book, and they sent me 2 copies. So I might do a giveaway for one. I could have done the Netflix series cover, but I decided to stick with this one. But I love Geralt. Oh gosh. So I'm very, very excited to read this. This is at the top of my list for this year. I'm kind of wondering if it would be fun to do that as a book club book, but we'll see what happens. Some other books that I have picked up, I have a lot. Books are just making me so happy right now. So I had to do a couple of returns. So one of the books that I got, that I didn't really look up anything about it before I got it, I just read the back of it and I liked it a lot, was The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. It's set in 1893 and it says, "There's no such thing as witches. There used to be in the wild, dark days before the burnings began, but now witching is nothing but tidy charms and nursery rhymes. If the modern woman wants any measure of power, she must find it at the ballot box." And this follows three sisters, James Juniper, Agnes Amaranth, and Beatrice Belladonna. And they join the suffragists of New Salem. And it just sounded like a really fun witchy story to read. I kind of really like reading witchy stories come October. Obviously, fits the theme of the month. So that is one book that I got. Some other books that I got that are on my TBR for this year. I got 6 Crimson Cranes, holy smokes, say that 5 times fast, by Elizabeth Lim. Again, this is one of those books that I've just heard so many amazing things about. So this follows a princess, and from what I understand, there's forbidden magic running through her veins. Normally she conceals it well, but on the morning of her betrothal ceremony, she loses control. At first, her mistake seems like a stroke of luck for stalling the wedding she never wanted, but it also catches the attention of her stepmother. And her stepmother is also a sorceress who turns her brothers into cranes. And then the story goes from there. So it just sounds like a really interesting one. This is one of those ones that everyone on BookTube is talking about. So I picked it up. That's what it looks like without the dust jacket. So I'm really excited to give this a try. The cover art is just so beautiful. Something else that I picked up is Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is, I think, going to be a really easy read. All stories are made of both truths and lies. What matters is the way that we believe in them. And this is actually an Indigo exclusive. So I'm pretty sure that the original publication, it's a dark cover. This one is light. So I peeked at the dust, under the dust jacket before I bought it, and it was this beautiful foil and dusty pink, and on the front of it, it says Recipes of the Ancient North, translated for the first time in 500 years. And then it's got the gold foil on the side. I've heard really good things about this book. It's just a classic fairy tale, so really excited to give that one a read. I also picked up, finally, I've been trying to find a copy, classic, but this is Rebecca, and I'm pretty sure that the majority of you know the story of Rebecca. I've seen the movie, I've never read the book. I liked the movie, I didn't love it, so I'm really hoping that the book will be better than the movie, which I've heard that it is. So I'm very excited. There's a few different covers, but I liked this one the most. I actually tend to prefer paperbacks, but I went with the hardcover. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I kind of put out a help me. I am trying to try some different things. And I used to love reading comic books, but I've never read manga. So somebody I follow on BookTube said that Fruits Basket was their all-time favorite, and there's even a series, a TV series that was made. So I finally found the first and the second. I got these from Barnes & Noble in the States. I could not find it anywhere here in Canada, and I went on eBay and it was insane what people were selling these for. So I'm really, really excited to give this a go. I have never read manga before, so I feel like it's gonna be a whole new thing for me. But I'm very excited, and I think that they're just really cute looking, and there's a lot of books in this series. I think it like ventures into the 20s. So I got those, and then I actually did a little bit of book shopping today, so I'm gonna save those ones, but I'll show you some of the other books that I've gotten. I picked up If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and this is a dark academia book. So this follows 7 young Shakespearean actors that are all studying at a classical conservatory. And I don't want to give too much away, but I keep hearing how amazing this is. And if you like dark academia, this is one that should be at the top of your list. This is a different cover art than what the book I think initially came out as. I think the original has like the head of a skull with like a candle burning. Very artistic looking. This is just the one that I could find, and I thought that it was really pretty. I also picked up the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, and this is actually a self-published book, which I just think is so cool. I'm pretty sure that this year it's being re-released under a publication, but I picked up the self-published one. Also dark academia. Very excited to read this. These are all in my TBR for this year. My TBR is greater than my reading challenge, so we'll see how it goes. I also picked up Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, The Last Hours. This is book 1. It's a brand new series in the Shadowhunter world. I have never read a Shadowhunter novel. There's a lot of them, but this just sounded really exciting, and the cover art on it really called to me. So I did judge this book by its cover because it's beautiful. So this is also new to my stash. And then I actually had placed a bunch of pre-orders for books that were coming out this year. First one arrived, and it's so beautiful. So I placed a few pre-orders for books that I knew were coming out this year, and the first one arrived, and it is just such a beautiful book to look at, but the story sounds so amazing as well. So this is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, and it follows the main character who is accustomed to solitude, unaware that she is being hidden from the feared celestial emperor who exiled her mother for stealing the elixir of immortality. Daughter of the Moon Goddess begins an enchanting romantic duology that weaves ancient Chinese mythology into a sweeping adventure of immortals and magic, of loss and sacrifice, where love vies with honor, dreams are fraught with betrayal, and hope emerges triumphant. Like, tell me that does not sound good. So this is on my TBR as well. It's the first pre-order that has arrived. Look at how beautiful this is. So I was beyond excited when that came in the mail. And then today I bought these. And it was funny, I went in by myself, which I don't really ever get to do. And when I came out, Nick just looked at me like, what? So I got quite a few things. I'll start with, I got Deadly Education. This is the first book. I think this is a duology, because there's also one called The Graduate. But this is by Naomi Novik, and it does say Lesson 1 of the Scholomance. So this is also a dark academia book. Another one that I've heard nothing but amazing things about. And it's not a very long book, so I feel like this one will be a really easy one to read. I might try and read this one sooner rather than later. I also picked up The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. And this is one that has been popping up on BookTube a lot for me. Set in Paris during the time of extraordinary change, one that is full of mystery, decadence, and dangerous desires. It's 1889, and the city is on the cusp of industry and power, and the Exposition Universelle has breathed new life into the streets and dredged up ancient secrets. So a band of unlikely experts, an engineer with a debt to pay, a historian banished from his home, a dancer with a sinister past, and a brother in arms, if not blood. Together they will join Severin as he explores the dark, glittering heart of Paris. What they find might change the course of history, but only if they can stay alive. So good. So I'm really excited to read this. This is the first book in a trilogy. So I'm excited to read that. I'm getting very into series because one is never enough. Like the To Kill a Kingdom was a standalone book, and I want more. Like one's not enough. I want to know what happens past the that book itself. I also got The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. In her forest-veiled pagan village, Evaik is the only woman without power, making her an outcast clearly abandoned by the gods. The villagers blame her corrupted bloodline. Her father was a Yahuli man, one of the much-loathed servants of the fanatical king. When soldiers arrive from the Holy Order of the Woodsman to claim a pagan girl for the king's blood sacrifice, she is betrayed by her fellow villagers and surrendered. But when monsters attack the Woodsman and their captive en route, slaughtering everyone but her and the cold one-eyed captain, they have no choice but to rely on each other. It sounds really good. So I got this one. This one's not on my TBR, but I've heard good things about this and I saw it and figured why not. This one I am incredibly excited for, and this is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichik. I hope I said that right. This is Norse mythology, so this is giving me big Vikings vibes, and Vikings is one of my all-time favorite shows. And so this follows the main character, and the story begins where most witches' tales end, with a burning, a punishment from Odin for refusing to provide him with knowledge of the future. The fire leaves, I don't know how to say her name properly, Angrboda, injured and powerless, and she flees to the farthest reaches of a remote forest. There she is found by a man who reveals himself to be Loki, and her initial distrust of him transforms into a deep and abiding love. Say no more. I also find it's a good sign when you get to the checkout and the person cashing you out has also read the book and says, you're going to love this. So this is at the top of my list. This is on my TBR for this year. I'm very excited about that. And then this last book was an impulse buy. I saw the reviews for this actually this morning, and I couldn't believe the rating that it got. So this is called Empire of the Vampire. And I was actually just talking with Nick the other day about how I feel like there's not a lot of, I haven't read a lot of vampire books. I really want to read Interview with a Vampire. I have never read Twilight, but I do really like vampire themed stuff. So this is the first book. I don't know if this is Empire of the Vampire. There's 4 works, so there's 3 primary works, and then I guess another one. This came out in September of last year, so it is pretty new. And okay, I'm just gonna read this because I read this to Nick in the car and even he was like, this one's really interesting. It has been 27 long years since the last sunrise. For nearly 3 decades, vampires have waged war against humanity, building their eternal empire even as they tear down our own. Now, only a few tiny sparks of light endure in a sea of darkness. Gabriel de Leon is a silver saint, a member of a holy brotherhood dedicated to defending realm and church from the creatures of the night. But even the Silver Order could not stem the tide once daylight failed us, and now only Gabriel remains. Imprisoned by the very monsters he vowed to destroy, the last Silver Saint is forced to tell his story. A story of legendary battles and forbidden love, of faith lost and friendships won, of the wars of the blood and the Forever King, and the quest for humanity's last remaining hope, the Holy Grail. It sounds so good. And the reviews for this are insane. It is sitting at 4.5 stars, which I feel like you don't see that very often. So this is an illustrated one. This is an Indigo exclusive copy. So so this is what the spine of it looks like. The front is very like, you know, like your classic fantasy novel. But then the inside, ooh, look at this. It's so beautiful. There's one for the front, and then this is the back of the inside. Oh my gosh, I'm just obsessed. It's also illustrated throughout, which I think is why the book is as big as it is. Yeah, there's like full page illustrations throughout. So I am very excited for this. It's just like a work of art, as well as it just sounds like an amazing story. So this may move up pretty high in my list. Oh, it even has a map. Bless this book. I love when they include a map, especially when it's a new land that I'm not, like, it's not Earth. So I'm very, very excited. So those are my books, and I'm beyond excited to read those. I mean, I could go on. These are books that I want to read this year, but I feel like that was a lot, and I've bombarded you with so many things, and I'm gonna leave it with, I started a reading journal. That's where I was segueing with books and my creativity. So I have created a reading journal, and it is so funny how much this is bringing me so much joy. And I have created book spreads. So like this is my December reads, and I have book spreads, and I went with a scrapbooking feel. And then I just kind of write out my thoughts on books that I've read. It's a lot of fun. I got really creative with this one. But I guess I'm curious if you guys would want to see a more in-depth reading journal video. I feel like there's a lot to talk about with a reading journal, and I have a lot I could share about this. Yeah, it's bringing me so much happiness. Like, I created this spread for book club, and I wrote out this one yesterday for the audiobook I started. So let me know in the comments if you want a reading journal video, because reading is bringing me a lot of happiness right now. But I feel like that's pretty much it for things that I could show you right now. There really hasn't been all that much going on. I do have work things that I can probably update you on in the next little bit. But yeah, I think that was a lot of talking. And if you stuck through it all, you're amazing. I would give you a gold star if I could. But yeah, I'm gonna sign off and probably read a book. And I hope that you all have, oh, my family is back. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your weekend and that your 2022 has started off on a positive note. Thanks for being here. Until next time.